Michael, the 2025 film, this epic biographical drama music film portraying the greatest superstar the world has ever known, Michael Jackson, is sort of upon us. It has started filming. It is set to be released April 2025. So a while is away, but I wanted to make this video because many of you know I'm Super Jesus Jackson. I've made a ton of videos talking about Michael Jackson's music, his videos, his legacy, his persona, who he is. I love Michael Jackson, and I am a supporter of Michael Jackson. This biopic here has been of a lot of interest to me for obvious reasons, but mainly because I want to talk about one thing. A lot of you who are clicking on this video are probably Michael Jackson fans. Some of you are indifferent to Michael. Maybe you just stumbled upon this video. I don't know what it is, but regardless of how you feel about Michael Jackson, I think my opinion will sort of resonate with you, and I think you might understand it. But I think especially if you love Michael Jackson, depending on where you are on that camp, you might feel differently about what I have to say. But I am, in my eyes, the biggest Michael Jackson fan, like 100%. And I think any of you who are fans of him, you will say the same thing about yourself. But I think as much as I love Michael Jackson, like, I am not a person that, like, how do I say this? This man is a controversial individual, okay? Everyone knows this. This is why a biopic for Michael Jackson, like, at this caliber has always never really happened, I think. You've gotten a few things here and there, like Man in the Mirror, and that one that had finding, not searching for Neverland or whatever. That, please do not watch that. But the other one that had Neverland in its name or whatever, and then there was that Jackson's biopic, The American Dream or something like that. So there's been efforts here and there, of course, but like never to this caliber. I mean, we've seen it as of late with movies like Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody. So the film Michael is that to that pedigree. And I mean, every time we've had movies like that, I was always like, why haven't we gotten a Michael Jackson biopic film? Like, just I don't understand it, right? He's the biggest superstar in the world. And the reason is because he is a controversial individual. That is the fact. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm the biggest MJ fan here, okay, in this room, at the very least. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he is not controversial, because he is. Do I believe he's innocent? Yes. You could tell I hesitated a little bit. And, you obviously know what I'm talking about. Look, Michael Jackson was not a normal person at all. Ever since the beginning of his childhood, he was sort of sculpted to become a unique individual, for better and for worse. But I think we have to have some sort of standard. I think we have to have some sort of degree here. He has never been found guilty. They searched his house thoroughly. They got him naked. They cross-examined the witness accounts. They did all of that, okay? And they found nothing. They might have found, normal things like, what a adult man, would have, but nothing that would link him, really at the end of the day, no hardcore evidence that would link him to anything regarding sexual abuse of a child. Now, do I think he was weird? Like I said, he was weird. Let's not, sugarcoat it. I do believe at the end of the day, I think I have to give myself a standard. I have to give myself sort of a line that I draw. I think our legal system is flawed, but I think overall it does the right thing. And I mean, specifically with a case like this, I mean, like someone like Michael Jackson, being on trial. And when he did go to trial, this was, 2005. When he was sort of not really the biggest star in the world anymore. I mean, he was, but like he wasn't to the level of like if Michael Jackson in the 80s was on trial, it would be different, but like this was a storied Michael Jackson by the time. He was on his second sexual abuse allegation at this point. He was on trial. The jury had every reason to sort of be like, screw this guy. You know what I mean? But, the evidence that was shown showed that he wasn't, that he was not guilty. And so I think just given the circumstances, I think it's pretty safe to say he was innocent. And not to mention that, yes, the verdict was not guilty. That's very important. But even with all that, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that he wasn't weird. But a lot of that weirdness, there's a lot of beauty in there as well. And there's a lot of innocence, and there's a lot of fascination. You can separate things. I do believe that. And so that's why he still remains, to me, not only musically, as the greatest superstar the world has ever known, the greatest musician the world has ever known, but as a person, he is probably, besides Jesus, the most interesting person I have ever studied or I have ever, known, and not personally, but you know what I mean. I truly think he is, besides Jesus, he is the most interesting person the world has ever known, again, for better or for worse. And so I have so much excitement, for this biopic film. But I also have my reservations, okay? I hope you don't hate me yet. I hope you haven't clicked out of the video if you're a huge Michael Jackson fan. Look at my videos. I love Michael Jackson. In fact, you know what? I need to stop doing that. There's no reason why I should continue being like, please, respect my opinion. You make that choice, but I'm just saying, I love Michael Jackson just as much as you do. I'm not going to sit here and just be like, yeah, like he was perfect. You know what I mean? He was not perfect, But I think in many ways it makes him more interesting. It makes him human, for God's sakes. But anyways, the biopic itself, directed by Antoine Fuqua, most notably known for the Equalizer franchise with Denzel Washington and Training Day. I love Training Day, and I have yet to see the Equalizer franchise, but I feel like I'd really enjoy it as well. It's written by, I'm here on the Wikipedia page here, written by John Logan. He has contributed to films like The Gladiator, Martin Scorsese's The Aviator, which is great. He's involved with the Bond films as well, the ones with Daniel Craig. So he's got some good stuff, got some good credits. Especially Gladiator. I mean, he wasn't the sole screenwriter, but he was one of them. So that's great. I really like that. The production is where we get into some potential issues. And now, before we get into that, of course, the main star of the film is Jafar Jackson. He's the nephew of Michael Jackson, which is like pretty awesome because I think in many ways, who the hell are you going to get to play Michael Jackson? Seriously. I mean, this is what's so awesome about Michael Jackson as a character, is that he's so unique. Like you can't think of anyone that can play him. Like, the dude was like two races. You know what I mean? Like, you could either go A or B, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like so interesting, but I thought they did a great job with the pick. Of course, I'm interested to see what they do, because the premise of the film is it follows the life and 4-decade spanning career of Michael Jackson. That is the premise. Jafar Jackson doesn't look like MJ does when he was 40, so it'll be interesting to see what they do, probably makeup and everything, right? So that'll be really cool. And we also have Miles Teller, which is great, as John Branca, Michael Jackson's longtime manager, I believe, or producer, one of those. Coleman Domingo, Neil Long. Yeah, a great pick. Lionsgate, of course. Lionsgate is actually fantastic because that means we're going to get a really fucking nice 4K steelbook. So that's great. I'm excited for that. But really, it's the production. One of the individuals there, I believe, was associated, Graham King. He was associated with Bohemian Rhapsody. And from what I've heard, I have not seen Bohemian Rhapsody, but from what I've heard, the film is good, but it mostly sort of kind of sugarcoats the life of Freddie Mercury. And I'm going to tell you right now, I do not want a Michael Jackson biopic that sugarcoats his life. Because not only is that, number one, a disgrace to who he was as a person, because he's a human being and he deserves to be treated objectively and authentically. But number two, you would be missing out on really interesting, fascinating storytelling, okay? You would be missing out on thought-provoking audience reactions, on a thought-provoking story, so content-wise, artistically. But number three, it's just not right. This is a biopic. You can't do that. Now, just because someone like Graham King is on the production list. Look, I don't have anything against Graham King. It is what it is. I know movie making is not easy. You are beholden to so many different things and powers that are above you. So I'm not going to sit here and tell him how to do his job or that he sucks at his job. I'm just giving my opinion here, right? You know, directed by Antoine Fuqua, written by John Logan. I just really hope that artistically that the film is able to be expressed authentically, you know, and creatively with no boundaries. But here is where we enter into the second issue, which is that the estate is giving its okay for the film. Like it had the approval of the estate. It's sort of backed by Michael Jackson's estate. And from what we know the Michael Jackson estate is it's kind of problematic. We'll just say that. I mean, look, it's done its job. It's released posthumous records for Michael Jackson. It's done some few things here and there. The Thriller documentary, the We Are the World documentary that just came out of Netflix. But have you seen the social media page for Michael Jackson? It's not the best. It is not the best. The content they put out is quite lazy, and sometimes they get the content wrong, for God's sakes. The Michael Jackson estate, the social media, account for Michael Jackson, gets facts wrong sometimes. Just let that sink in, okay? That's there's that. But also, other things as well, and this might have been more, I haven't done really a lot of my research, it might have been more Sony Music's fault. But that whole Michael posthumous album debacle where they literally, I'm sorry, but 3 songs that they ended up removing, I believe, from the streaming versions of Michael, the posthumous album, because they were not sung actually by Michael Jackson. Now, they never confirmed that they were not sung by Michael Jackson, but they removed them nonetheless because of allegations and because of reports and because of, accusations and I think lawsuits as well, that fans filed saying that, look, these 3 songs were not sung by Michael Jackson. They were sung by an impersonator, which is I just can't imagine. I cannot imagine you being the estate or Sony Music or whatever, a partnership, and okaying this. That's disgusting. Okay, now whoever has more blame or not, probably Sony Music has more blame because, they're literally like the distributor of this thing, which is bullshit. But the estate, still, they have the legacy of Michael Jackson on their hands. Like, that's the blood on their hands. And they okayed it, And I like how they still never even said, they never said, you're right. No, it was not. It was not Michael Jackson. We know it was not Michael Jackson. But anyways, so that was controversial right then and there, right? That alone was like strike 1, 2, all the way to fucking 3. You know what I mean? Like, just straight up to me when it comes to Michael Jackson's estate. Now, that being said, they have done some really great things, like I mentioned before, but also Escape, the latest posthumous album from Michael Jackson. That is just a phenomenal record. I think if Michael Jackson was alive today, he would listen to that and be like, that's actually pretty fire, with the exception of a few things here and there. But like overall, it is, I think, a reflection of what Michael Jackson would put out in today's world. So that's a plus for Michael Jackson's estate and Sony Music. But besides that, it's all been pretty eh. Like, the fucking trek to getting 4K versions of Michael Jackson's material, music video material, and concert material is a fucking trek. You know what I mean? The fact that we even got some things. They treat us as if we should be grateful for the things that they've given us. Like, so many other estates do so much more for their artists. And the fact that Michael Jackson's estate does jack shit, for the most part, for the legacy of the greatest living artist the world has ever known. So, that, along with the production behind the Michael Jackson biopic, but really the Michael Jackson estate is probably the biggest. That is really the thing that I am so fearful of as a Michael Jackson fan, as a massive fan, but also as an authentic fan that treats Michael Jackson as a person, but also treats him as the god that he is, because he is. But like, I have no interest and no business, in watching a film that sugarcoats Michael Jackson's life. I want the film to go into the sexual abuse controversy. Like, look, I know it's a film about his whole entire life. I'm not saying like I want the whole film to be that, but like, I do want the film to not be afraid of dealing with it. Not be afraid to show Michael Jackson as kind of a weirdo sometimes. The dude did have like security cameras and shit that led up to his room. Like, now we do know he was paranoid, and he did have children sleeping on his bed. That happened. you know? That's all. That's it. You know, I mean, that happened. And I just feel like they're not going to touch on those things, but I want them to. I want them to touch on the fact that he got addicted to painkillers. Okay? I want them to touch on the fact that he was a paranoid mess. Okay? I want them to touch on the fact that he was a person that surrounded himself with yes people all the time, at least towards nearing the end of his life. I want them to touch on the fact that he was in debt. Like, I want them to touch on all those things. You know, there are good biopics out there. Look at, Ray with Jamie Foxx. That's a phenomenal biopic. Look at Walk the Line with Joaquin Phoenix, who don't portray him as a god. Now, here's another thing, too. The recent biopic, Elvis, directed by Baz Luhrmann, that film is phenomenal because it's so glamorous, it's so artistic, and it paints Elvis Presley as a larger-than-life figure while not necessarily fully sacrificing the integrity of truth and the integrity of authenticity when it comes to the flaws of Elvis Presley. Like, they showed him being a dick. They showed him being a drug addict. They showed his manager being, like, one of the worst people ever. But also the film capitalized on the grandiosity of Elvis Presley. It was so beautifully and artistically done. It's phenomenal. So, unfortunately, we're not going to get that sort of style with Michael. I think we're going to get a more, boots on the ground type of biopic, which is fine by me, as long as it's done artistically and well done. There's a way to do it, but I don't feel like they're going to do it. I don't have hopes for it. Now, granted, this is why I wanted to make this video before the trailer, because I want to be proven wrong. I think it'd be interesting for me to look back on this video when the trailer comes out. We can do a proper reaction. We can do a proper analysis. We can talk about it then and compare my thoughts and see if I think the same. Yeah, those are really my thoughts on the Michael 2025 biographical musical drama film. God. Yeah, and it's also produced by John Branca, which, again, that is the Michael Jackson estate. So, yeah, we'll see how it goes, everyone. But I am not very excited. I'm sure the performances will be great. I'm sure the music aspect of it will be cool. But the story. There was someone who commented on YouTube, and they said, the Michael Jackson biopic should have this moment. And they said, Michael Jackson does the Motown 25th anniversary show where he debuts Billie Jean, at least the performance of it for the first time ever. And he does the moonwalk, debuts the moonwalk. And he comes back home and he starts crying, and he's alone in his room. The TV is on with cartoons or something, and he's just laying on the chair, laying on the bed, and he's crying in a room of darkness. If you've read Michael Jackson's autobiographical book, Moonwalk, he describes how during, Off the Wall, during Thriller, he felt extremely alone. He would go walk around his neighborhood trying to find friends. He would literally go to, like, the fucking park or something and just, like, swing and hope to find someone, walk around his neighborhood trying to find someone. If the Michael Jackson biopic doesn't have a scene like that, or a scene like that one commenter on YouTube described, it's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough one to consider a great film. I'm just going to tell you right now. It's got to have something like that. It's got to portray the darkness and the paranoia and the solace and the pain and the greatness and the flaws of the greatest musician, greatest entertainer, one of the greatest non-fictional characters of all time. It's got to do all that. Those are my thoughts. Please let me know in the comment section below if you agree with me or if you disagree with me. Give this video a like if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content. Unsubscribe if you hate me and my opinions about Michael Jackson, but hopefully not. Share this video with your other MJ fans and see what they think. If it's your birthday, happy birthday to you, you beautiful creature. But that's it for me. You all take care, stay safe, and until next time, I love you.